Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 3 long weeks here at SRA.
Welcome back to the best racing in North America, home of the SRA GT3 Team Series. 60 minutes of action-packed door-to-door racing, 6 divisions, 6 different championships on the line. Let's get ready for some action tonight.
An incident. Oh, turn. We have Boardman at a yellow. Looks like he's dropping down positions there on the chicane as a bunch of cars are coming through.
Byron's going to take a dive in the Lexus.
Johnson looking to go down the inside of Maxwell.
And we're off and away for SRA.
Last season when we were here, it was dark and wet, but the sun is shining on us tonight. Welcome everyone to SRA's Round 7 Division 1. We're at Silverstone here for the GT3 Team Series. Joining me on the desk tonight, Paul Hartman, Josh Damiani. How are you both doing tonight?
I'm feeling really good, and I'm excited for the racing tonight. Silverstone is an awesome track. Always excited to be back here.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to see what kind of times these D1 drivers have been able to put out. Pretty much since that wet race last week ended, everyone has been charging at the leaderboards, and these guys have really been lighting it up. So super excited to see what tonight holds.
It's a very well-known track, and to take us through this very well-known track, or at least some key points, Damiani, would you be so kind to walk us through the 5.8 kilometer track?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't really have to hold anybody's hand here. We all know the track pretty well, except we're starting from a little bit of a different location. We start over at Cops Corner for turn number 1 that's up in the left-hand side there. And everything pretty much runs the same as you would see in almost any other class here. A lot of opportunities for overtakes, a lot of flying through cops corner as fast as you can, maggots, beckets, and yeah, a lot of the braking zones, the heavy braking zones off the straightaways is where we'll see most of our opportunities, but I imagine we're going to see a lot of wheel-to-wheel action tonight.
And let's hope we do end up seeing a lot of wheel-to-wheel action tonight, as a lot of the cars don't really have a full-blown advantage at this track. But we will see how qualifying shakes out as the silver drivers are getting underway, about to start their flying lap. Stasiv currently going to be our first person to set their flying lap. And as that is underway, I just want to ask Paul A. and both of you, favored cars at this track?
I don't
Well,
really know.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the McLaren right now. It's definitely a very quick car, and you know, we got two very quick drivers in them this season here in D1, Nate Specht and Matt Lehman. I think they're going to do very well tonight. But we did see a Ferrari win in the practice race last night. I don't think that these cars are all that far apart as far as their performance here. Seems to be a relatively well-balanced track, and from what I've seen.
Josh?
Yeah, it's all about like confidence here. You can have a slightly disadvantaged car, but have more confidence in carrying speed through something like Cops Corner and gain a massive amount of lap time on somebody. So, good racecraft is also a big advantage to have here.
I am going to agree with both of you, but I still think the McLaren is going to absolutely smoke everyone, as I feel this track is very aero heavy. Depending on the corners you go through, there's a little bit of everything. There's low speed, there's fast speed, there's a lot of long flowing corners that you go through. I feel like aero is going to be a huge factor here, but we shall see, as Stasiv is currently taking the Ferrari around pretty nicely here. No real issues so far.
Yeah, I mean, most of our grid is aero-dominant cars. We've got a few of the front-engine beasts, the Aston Martins and such, and our Audis, of course, Brooker Quigg and Patrick Rust, but it's, I don't know, I think that's what kind of adds to the equal playing field across Division 1 here, is everyone's kind of playing from the same basket of tricks.
Everyone's very closely bunched in the driver's standings. As we'll take a look at that a little later, as Michael Stasiv will be our first one to set a lap. 58.9 will be the fastest, and automatically trumped by Griffith with a 58.2. The Porsche RA getting their wheels deep, setting their fastest lap. Basley Majid not too far behind, 58.4. This is all everyone's first lap, so their tires are still going in play.
Yeah, generally after the first lap, your first real lap is when the tires really start to warm up. At least with the pressures I was setting in my qualifying practice, I was seeing 26 or 26.1 right after I crossed the line for that first lap. So this is where the lap times are really going to start coming down. I just watched Nate Specht come through for his lap, putting it in provisional second with a 58.35. So yeah, we're going to see these times come down a good little bit. I know that these guys got more in them, as we see Nate Specht already a quarter second up on his time.
Yeah, everyone really improving across the board. Our highest improvement, Stallworth, all the way from P7 right now at 5/10. But right now we're on board with Griffith, who's about 2.5 tenths up and quickly making up time, trying to find every little bit out of it. Nate Specht in the background trying to make up all of his time. As everyone goes, I did forget, if you're new here to SRA and you don't know how we do our qualifying is 20 minutes long, split into two halves. Our first half is for the silver drivers, and our second half is for the gold drivers. And if you're wondering who's silver, who's gold, silver drivers on the left side of your screen have a silver number plate, and the gold drivers have a white number plate. Sorry, I had to get that out of the way, as Griffith will come on to our old pitch straight. 2/10 up on time. We'll set the new fastest lap right now with a 58 flat.
Well, don't count out Nate Specht here. He's almost 6/10 up on his time.
He is coming around the final few bends. Stallworth
Gonna lose a little bit of time.
He is. Stallworth sets provisional P2 only 0.02 of a second behind Griffith. Gets a little wide there. Nate Specht will invalidate that lap, but if he stuck that on pole, he is 0.4 clear of provisional P1, which is Griffith right now.
Yeah, and with 3.5 minutes left, it's kind of collect yourself, close out this lap, and try and do it again because you don't really have the window to do another lap after that.
They'll have another lap. It'd be a very last minute lap, but they'll have another lap.
You lucky dogs may get through. Nate Specht, though, looking good on this lap. Already a quarter second up on that time.
Stallworth about 0.3 up on his time coming down through sector 2 right now.
Stasev also 0.4 up. 0.5 almost.
There's an improvement all the way through the field. Griffith has invalidated his lap, so he will not be able to set a new lap time. So he's at the mercy of Stallworth and the rest of the grid right now. The rest of the grid does not look to be holding anything back. Majid up 0.5, 0.6. Nate Specht up 0.3. Quigg up 0.7. Sand up 0.3. Stallworth on your screen right now up 3.5. Everyone really improving this track, really coming to life here. I did just suss out. It is only a fast track, so it isn't even an optimum track yet.
Yeah.
So
There is that chance, though, that it can go optimum, I believe. Some folks were talking about that.
I think after a few laps, it should go optimum. But Stallworth says, I don't need optimum. I'll set a 57.7 on a fast track. Quigg quickly behind him, 58 flat, not too far behind Griffith. Majid will take the next provisional P2 slot, 57.9. Stallworth will return to pits, and that will be the end of his qualifying. Nate Specht will come across the line, try to set a lap. Last time he was up all the way for P1, but we'll only be able to get P5 right now, and will be on their last lap.
Watching his lap, it looks like he lost some time in the third sector. It wasn't quite as strong of a lap as his previous one, but one more lap to do it. See if he can put her down.
If he can. We don't have the biggest grid here today. 26 drivers, probably one of our smaller grids of the season.
Which is strange. I mean, what are they doing? Avoiding Silverstone?
It's the end of season attrition, you know.
Yeah,
you get too far down, you feel like you can't compete, so you just don't go. You know? But everyone's here for the fun of it for the most part. Others really want to drink out of a shoe.
That's what we're all playing for.
Nate Specht not really finding any time here between Sector 1 and the first half of Sector 2. Just barely a 10th, but still trying to hold on. Griffith will invalidate, and they will not be able to set another lap. I believe they're just too far away from the start-finish line. Be very close to call as the goal drivers are all lining up at the end of the pit lane.
Stasev in your picture-in-picture, up about 0.3, looking to bring it home in the final corner and a half here. Pretty solid exit.
Very curious.
Should do him nicely. Up to P4.
Griffith will get across the line to start a new lap.
And Peremba now in your picture-in-picture, also up for just about half a second right now. This should also do very well. Looking like P2.
It is P2, 57.9.
57.9.
Nate
So
Specht.
3 drivers under a 58 now.
Nate Specht coming around the final turn, trying to hold it all together. If he keeps this time, he will go on provisional P1 for the time being. 0.4 up. The track is optimum. He will put it on provisional pole. 57.7 is the time to beat. Stallworth 0.03 of a second behind. No one else really improving. The goal drivers have been released. Dan Cran will stay P11 for the time being. Stasev and Griffith are the final 2 drivers from the silver division to get a lap down. Griffith not really improving at all. Stasev just barely hanging on right now to a neutral. Down to a very fast, flowy part. If they can hold it together, optimum line is pretty much flat out if you can, but half time you can't. That tire wear gets too heavy. Deep braking zone keeps the car pretty stable, makes up a ton of time in that corner, but the exit is not good enough for him. Griffith will pull off to the side. That will spell the end of his qualifying. Stasiv doesn't look to be improving at all. I think this will spell the end of him.
Yeah, even though the track has now flipped over to optimum for the gold drivers, the silver drivers that are still out here, I don't think have the tires left to maximize what's out there.
You know, in this last corner, he'd have to make up a hefty amount of time if he wants to gain, and he doesn't look like he's doing it at all. We'll end up just pulling straight into the pits, and that will be your silver qualifying over.
So as these gold drivers go out for their first laps, I want to talk a little bit about the silver standings and things to watch out for, drivers to watch out for tonight. Michael Griffith with 298 points is currently sitting in first for the silver championship, with Jeffrey Bray in second, Nate Specht in third. Bray and Griffith are only 2 points apart. Specht is 45 points, so he's got to look for a good race. He's got to look at where Griffith is going to end up in this if he wants to close that gap for the end of the season. Also, let's not count out Stallworth, who's only 64 points behind the lead, and Dan Cran, who's 72, sitting in fifth. So all these people still have some shot at getting the championship for silver. So watch out for those drivers tonight.
We do have graphics we can pull up after qualifying if we want to. I believe the gold battle is pretty high. I believe it's only a 12-point difference between Mercer and Lehman. So both of those two kind of head-to-head fighting each other.
Two champion motorsport drivers making their way towards the front of their respective championships there. So that should be pretty interesting to watch out for. I know those guys get pretty hungry.
Mercer coming around the final few bends to set their first lap. Should be a hefty jump from the silvers as the track is optimum. Not a very hot day either. Probably just right for qualifying temperatures. Mercer making a very hefty charge and doing very good this season. Very nice and tidy through the final S's. We can just stick the exit. Power down early, no real movement in the back end. That car looks stable as ever. We'll come across the line and set their time P3 57.8 right now. So Stallworth and Nate Specht ahead of Mercer, but I'm sure Mercer has a lot more to do in that car.
Yeah, if that's where the gold drivers are setting out on that warm up your tires lap, we're in for some pretty quick laps here.
Do we think we get a 56 here?
Maybe. I think we'll get pretty close.
Matt Lehman and the other McLaren will set P10 for their first lap and immediately invalidate their second lap. So, take another warm-up lap around, get it set up for the next lap. Quick little breather. O'Brien is currently a 10th up on their time as well. I believe Nordstrom is probably one of our biggest gainers right now, about 5/10ths up on their time. Love the sound of these cars.
Yeah, I'm mesmerized by the sound right now, and just watching these drivers. It's like a dance, trying to put down the most perfect lap possible. Just watching these cars take these corners all out.
Brian taking it all out indeed right now, trying to put it on provisional pole. Is going to get very close to him. Don't think he's going to get it unless he can improve pretty decent in this last turn. Does look like he is improving a lot. Not the greatest exit though, got a little wiggle wobbly, but is going to set a pretty decent time. Nate Speck goes P1. O'Brien, 1/100th of a second behind Nate Speck. We have a battle on our hands. O'Brien going to have to chase down some more time, but only needs 100th of a second.
I think that was Chilcutt jumping up to the top of the board there.
Oh, there he goes.
He is
Up
P5.
to up to P5. I was confused. I was like, Nate's still out there? I think that's a qualifying violation, sir. 3 minutes left and you're setting a lap time.
Maybe I misspoke my words.
I had to double check.
He is provisional pole, and O'Brien got 100th close to him.
Well, Chilka is a driver that we had been missing for a little while, on vacation, back re-energized and ready to totally shake up the D1 field as he has been doing this whole season.
I believe he got P3 at Wet Donington, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe?
Definitely someone that if he's near you in pace, will challenge you in every sense of the word. And really make you work for your position on the racetrack.
Or at one of those tracks where battling is very prevalent, given its wide nature on the straights and within the turns.
Just keeping an eye on Pierce here in the picture-in-picture. Keeps coming up and down in the delta, up towards 2.5 tenths. He's only 310 thousandths off.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hold on, how do I say
I'll
this?
get there.
So if he can string those couple tenths together that he's found throughout this lap on his last push here,
I think
just might have a chance.
I think Lehman.
But Chilcutt has just jumped ahead at pole of 57.5.
He has, but I don't count out Lehman just yet, as he's making his way around the final bend. Over 6 tenths up. This should put him on provisional pole ahead of Chilcutt, and it will be a 57.5, 300ths in front of Chilcutt. Chilcutt invalidates his lap, and that will be his qualifying over, I think, unless he can get all the way around the track. It's going to be very
close. But it's with that much pushing in this lap after just flying on the previous, are you going to have any tires left for that last one?
You might have prepped your car to have a little bit more tire. But it's going to be a very close one, because you tend to rush this lap, and then when you get into the next lap, you got to be all kind of calm and collected, but you're still fighting off the adrenaline of trying to at least get to the line. O'Brien is hoping to get to the line 2 tenths up on their time. Currently a bit up. Matt Lehman up on his time again.
He's really pushing this lap, just using every inch of this track. 3 tenths up on an already pole lap. He's flying.
Brian sadly fell off a little bit. A couple little wiggles in the corner with the rear end will put him out of the time gaining area unless he can make anything up in these final couple corners. And I do say I think Chilcutt will get another shot at this lap. O'Brien hopefully banking off that same thing. Chilcutt actually will spin it. His qualifying will be over. He will have to set provisional P2 for the time being, but that's only a 10th ahead of Mercer. And Lehman is about to set an absolute insane
4
lap.
tenths up. Going through this last corner, this one's been a struggle for him, losing a little bit of time, 3 tenths.
It doesn't matter. Still keeps him in provisional pole, improves better. 57.255 will be the provisional pole time to beat for everyone. Currently, no one really making up a huge amount of time. Mercer.
Brian going off track there, ending his qualifying session, going back to the pits.
Mercer.
Yeah, it's a few drivers up a 10th, and that's about it.
Yeah, Mercer not even up a 10th just yet, and as I say that, he goes up 10th. Might have had a little bit of an issue here last race. Marquez will set his final lap, put himself P3, but only by under 100th of a second.
This is someone who's insanely fast down here, still trying to set a lap. He is in the third sector right now, getting ready to come into the final couple of corners.
I didn't even see Neville down there.
We'll have to see where he winds up.
Normally Neville is one of our front runners struggling to set a lap, seems like. But we'll be able to set a valid lap this time, given he doesn't cut too much corner on the inside here. We'll keep it and we'll put it
P10.
P10, not bad.
Respectable for invalidating every other lap.
Not a bad place to start. I mean, the start of the race at Silverstone is a lot of opportunity.
Correct.
And being at that top 10, inside the top 10, I guess you could say the top half of this grid here, it's a good place to be.
Mercer's going to pretty much match his time as the last car to go around to end our qualifying session. So the grid as it stands, Lehman with the 57.2, Chilcutt in second, Marquez third, Mercer, Specht, O'Brien, Stallworth, Nordstrom, Wilson, and Neville rounding out our top 10. Couple of silver drivers made it into there despite the fast track. Nate Specht and Stallworth made it into the top 10.
Couple big names here, big battles. Speaking of battles, let's go over to the standings here. We'll start with the team standings right now. And I'll try my best not to fumble over my words. In P1 right now, Vroom Car Drive, Jeremy Mercer, Peter O'Brien, 842 points, 133 points ahead of Champion Motorsport McLemmons, which is the McLaren boys, Matt Lehman, Nate Speck, both there, both SR aliens, as we have those little icons now. P3, Drive Car Vroom 694, not too far behind of Champion Motorsports, under 10, or just over 10 points. P4, Car Vroom Drive, same thing, kind of in the same boat, a little bit farther back. And then sometimes maybe good following out our top 5. Anyone's game to really play here for in the top kind of 6 right now. One good race, everything falls into place. It's all yours.
You know, looking at the team championships too, it's interesting to see the different manufacturers that made it into the top 5. All different manufacturers there.
We love that here. Well, there's 2: Lamborghini, McLaren, AMR, Ferrari, Lamborghini. I think we're missing a portion there, but
P6. They're close enough.
It's close enough. It's close enough. But moving on to the drivers, kind of what we're more looking at here. Mercer and Lehman, just 12 points separating them. Lehman going to be starting ahead of Mercer. Mercer will be on the second row, though. Michael Menning will be right behind them. Peter O'Brien not too far behind. Jordan Nixon will round out our top 5. All 5 of those guys, one good race could set them up in P1, but we're really going to be looking at Matt Lehman here and Mercer tonight. The back half of the grid still looking pretty competitive. One race, 1 point could set you apart, just like Alex Chilcutt and Michael Stasov battle right now. Both tied on 116 points. Alex Chilcutt getting a little bit of an advantage here tonight.
He's going to have that better starting position, and hopefully if he brings it home in a good spot, it'll help redeem his standings for missing out on a few races this season.
And he is P2 right now. So he, I forget, is it the inside, the right side of the track, the inside line we'll call it, is our even numbers, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think
At least
so.
here at Silverstone.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you're actually kind of in a better spot then.
So to my understanding, at least when it comes, this is me and other people, it is preferable to have the outside since there's so much runoff there and it's lap 1, you're not really going to get a track cut. So you can kind of push it that little extra distance, just kind of take it over the curb a bit, even though you really shouldn't, but just enough to defend and force the guy to kind of put in more steering angle. That's just me and the people that are around me. They prefer that more exit road as to the inside line. But I'm sure people like Ole and Damiani love the inside.
Well, you definitely get that jump into the corner. But I would like to take a moment, now that we're done with the standings, to thank some sponsors of SRA. A huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And To-Go Setups, premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. As everyone is kind of coming up to just the middle of sector 2, so we should be getting double wide here on the final straight. Your main camera will try to capture the front half of the battle, so main screen battle P1, P2, P3, P4 for the start. Your picture-in-picture will try to capture everything else.
Yeah, we'll start out from around P20-ish and just kind of move with the action.
I'm going to do something real quick. Little technical difficulties. As I was told that it was pretty hard to hear the cars. Maybe
Yeah, I
that
was
one.
just reading that now, trying to figure that out.
It's a little difficult
Hopefully that's a little better.
from a streamer standpoint, but we are going too wide here now. I believe I was wrong. I believe Lehman is on the inside, and I'm just blind.
No mistakes ever.
No mistakes ever. So Matt Lehman will lead the 26 cars on the grid here to the main straight as we all get lined up and going. Everyone kind of on to the bend now, so it should be a fun start down into Cop's corner. Can't wait to start. Throw it to Pole for our race start.
Here at Silverstone D1, Season 7. And we are off and away for SRA.
And Lehman gets a very good jump on Chilco, which will actually set him off into the distance. Nate Speck trying to make up any positions in the background, but it's actually Mercer really trying to thread his way through the field here. On Marquez going down to the S's. In line we go through here. No real side-by-side, but in the back half of the grid is too wide all the way through.
Yeah, a whole bunch of cars drifting, moving, trying to find themselves some space, but everybody's staying facing forwards. No trailers in the background.
Coming down onto the main straight, we got a little bit of spacing here. Mercer is going to have to try to defend against Marquez. We'll be able to hold that position for the time being, but we are still too wide in the back. Michael Menning trying to get any position here on Kostovich is still there on the inside. We'll have the preferred line into the braking zone, holds it very well, hits the curb just a little bit, will upset his car, has to go on the outside here. We'll be able to get the power down, should have that position by the end of the corner, and gets it done.
Almost 3 wide between the silver drivers here in the back of Griffith Higgs and Rust, going into the chicane there. Now on the back straight, still almost 3 wide, going through that fast kink. And some cars touch. That's should be Rust and Higgs. They keep it together though.
Both of them doing a little bit of a tail dance there in unison, but yeah, both cars staying straight.
Kostovich
just before all that
positions. Sorry.
Just before all that kicked off, a great overtake by Stasov coming into the I'm going to refer to as the last few corners in the F1 direction of this, as I'm horrible with corner numbers, around the outside of his Audi. And inside for the next corner does you pretty well.
Oh, and there's a little bit of contact on Stasiv, it looks like, in the back. Or no, not Stasiv. Sorry, on Quig in the back, right behind them. Stasiv actually going to take a little bit to the grass there, but will be able to keep his car together. Stasiv now looking to be a little bit under pressure here. There is contact between the two cars there. Stasiv able to hold it. Nixon
Touches
all
him
the way
outside.
off. On the inside, Russ is able to hold it. Stasiv still up there. Wolfile in line behind Griffith. Great move by Russ.
Whole bunch of door banging, but get a little bit of tunnel vision when you're chasing after a car and get that close in a corner like Cops. You almost forget there can be a car beside you still.
Brembo's looking down on the
Stasiv
inside.
is under huge pressure here. Rec and Higgs wanting to snap up those scraps.
I think Rec will get that position. Higgs now looking for it. Rec actually went very deep. Stasiv's going to come back at him. Rec's going to have the inside here for the corner. Stasiv does have the speed. Can he be later on the brakes? He does look to be later. Will not shut the door. Rec is still there, but will ultimately get cleared by Stasiv.
Good move there. Always favorable to have that outside line going into that chicane. If you can be late on the brakes, you can cut them off before the next corner.
They're thrown in line as it looks like Rec got a little bit uneasy there. Higgs is going to go for the move up the inside on Rec. Higgs is going to make that very clean. Rec's going to come right back at him very hard into the braking zone. Higgs leaving that space for him. Dan Cran trying to get into the mix. Higgs blocking Rec blocking Higgs. Sorry. Very hard going onto this main straight.
I think that's a little bit of the car trying to dance out from under him, getting on the throttle there. That section of racetrack is very tough. You got to be so gentle, but it's tough to try and squeeze the throttle gently in a battle like that.
Is now. We do have someone, I think someone pit as they are dropping down the order. That is Stallworth and Mr. Sir.
Mr. Sir.
Of all pit with the 55-minute pit window as open. O'Brien closing in on Mercer through the S's here.
Yeah, and we've got a little bit of a train here forming in P10 as well. Neville, Paremba, and Coadromo. Paremba came into Maggots right on Neville's bumper, but backed off for a little bit of safety and chase it down the straightaway.
O'Brien's going to go up the inside of this very long turn. He will have the preferred line. Mercer is trying to hold the grip on the outside. He has it there. The speed is there. Can he get on the power fast enough down to the next corner? He is going down. Mercer late on the brakes. Will have that position. O'Brien just going to try to slot back in. Marquez trying to pick up any scraps. O'Brien is holding it well together and will keep the position, but Mercer will be gone.
And as you're calling that, we're watching the replay in the picture-in-picture. Looked like they made the move up to the inside, and unfortunately Paremba out-braked himself and went straight through the corner into the back of Neville. Did hold off on the side of the road, return the position. Nice etiquette. Jeez, English is not working for me tonight. Nice etiquette from the driver there.
Dan Cran having some trouble having to give up a position to Paremba.
We're now starting our train phase. Lehman has gone off into the distance by about a second in front of Chilcutt. Mercer off into the distance a little bit, but does lead this train. So it's Mercer, O'Brien, Marquez, Nate Speck, Nordstrom, Wilson, and Menning all within this one train. Everyone kind of have the gap down to at least within a second. Wilson actually will peel off into the pits. We'll get out of this battle.
Yeah, being in the train is nice, but like we talked about earlier, you need that downforce to carry all the pace that you want to here, and you lose a lot of it being in the slipstream. Just watching the wing angle in the picture-in-picture, you can see as everyone in the back just drifts off ever so slightly and further as you go down that train.
Big long line. O'Brien closing the gap on Mercer here, coming up to the long corner. Won't make the move this time, so we'll hold off in line. No one behind him will try any other moves, so it is just in line, and the three blue cars continue to go. Three blue and black cars. Oh, Nate Speck getting very speedy in that corner. Almost touched Marquez in the rear end, but we'll hold it together. Does lose a good bit of time. Chilcutt has any more pace in him. Now's the time to do it. Marquez had a little bit of an issue there. A little snap of oversteer or something sends his car flying into the gravel.
Does a fantastic job of keeping that thing out of the barrier.
Unsure of what fully happened there. Oh, well.
I think that's just Abby for you. It's when you get the feel of the car down right, it's just a little bit of a lift and throw the car in, and if you throw that Ferrari just a little bit too much, it loves to do that.
Very sudden. That's how fast your race can change. Chilcutt is now within a second of Matt Lehman. Question is, can he close the gap close enough to get that slipstream? He is setting the fastest lap right now, 58.5 race pace.
Marquez is gonna smart decision, opt to jump into the pits.
That's when we start seeing battles kind of fizzle out.
Stallworth
Ooh,
goes for a little bit of a slide. Let's have a look at what happened here.
grass.
Oh, just gets too far over the curb and onto the grass, and that'll do it to you. Thank you to SRA Quality Control for once again showing us some lines work, some lines do not.
As Pierce looks to be going side by side with Majid here, all on the outside. So much grip, so much speed, can get on the power so much earlier. They're still side by side coming down into the next corner. Pierce thought he had Majid clear. Majid making himself very well known there. Pierce does have that position now. Majid is forced to file in line.
I don't know what happened, but in the process of that, we lost O'Brien.
Oh no.
What?
He was up
I saw
there.
him throw a yellow flag. I couldn't click fast enough, and his name's gone.
Hmm.
Disconnect?
I do not
Possibly.
know.
Yeah. Use
So-
that or immediate Ulta 4. Both of which are not good.
Correct.
That is wild.
How much
Very
more is
common occurrence this season from D1, it seems, where an incident will happen up near the top and a driver will just opt to immediately get out of here. I don't know. I don't like. I
I mean,
always
this
try
is 3
to
points this race.
exactly. I always try and just tell myself, just go to the pits, come back out, finish the race, collect the points.
We only have
Especially
20
this late in the season.
Yeah, we only have 26 drivers on track, so you're guaranteed some decent points here if you keep the
And,
car
you know,
alive.
And look at Marquez. He's in 23rd right now. He's already pit, and he's really not in a bad spot at all. Only 2.3 seconds behind Stasiv. That's very easy to make up numbers there. And as more cars pit, there'll be more competition for him. So he's not out there alone. As long as it's not too bad, it's always best to stay out there.
And tonight's magic number, as we've got some early pitters, is 32.
Ooh.
So right now that stretches from the leader past Higgs, but not quite to Gomer Wilson in 16th.
Very interesting. On board with Nixon and kind of a train, kind of fizzling out here. You can see his Aston Martin getting very unsettled through some of these corners. The back end looking like it just wants to go. As most of our battles have now fizzled out, and it is now hot lapping time here in D1. Try to get as fast of times as possible so you can beat your competitive pit rival. Gromo catching on Menning right now.
Only 12 minutes into a race, and the D1 drivers are already hot lapping. I mean, typical, right?
It's on brand. It's on brand. But that's part of racing here, especially when you have an hour-long race, a timed race, not necessarily a lap counter race. It's part of the game. Just hot lap at some points. And when you're hot lapping, you'll sometimes run into people and sometimes you won't. Your best chance at a clean laps are no one in front of you, as Dremo is hoping that Menning can get out of the way very quick if he closes this gap anymore. Right now, Alex Chilcutt also coming back onto the scenes up in P2. What will he make of this guy? Don't make anything of him.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't realize there was a question there. Yeah, well, Choka seems to be in a really good spot. Only 1 second behind Matt Lehman. Seems to be putting in decent times. His last being a 158.9, an invalid lap. So hopefully he can keep this car together through the race doing these kind of times with full fuel. That is a very impressive time in race trim, 158.9. So definitely flying out there.
He does currently hold the fastest lap as well with a 58.5, yes. So he has more pace in it if he can wrestle with it.
And closing this gap a little more now, 0.8 seconds kind of bouncing in between there. This will be an interesting battle if it does shape up. Two conglomerate mates here. And, some folks who talk on the Discord quite a bit with each other. So we'll see how this works out.
I think Lehman is gaining a lot of time through Sector 1, the very curvy, fast area that relies a lot on the aero dependencies of the cars. Chilcutt does not have that with the Ferrari too much.
You do get it a little bit.
Yeah, a bit, but not as much as the McLaren. That car is built for aero. Dremo is built for closing the gap. 0.3 seconds right now to Menning. Might have a shot in the next upcoming laps to overtake him. Through yes as they go.
Stasov has caught up to Quig here, 0.3 seconds in the delta between them.
Menning had it all full Maggots and Beckett's there. Dremo is going to look to make a move here, coming down to the lone right-hander, going down on the inside. Menning squeezing as tight as possible. We'll dive out to the late last second to open up the corner. Menning is able to carry all that speed around the outside. Dromo's still there on the inside. Menning not able to get enough power down. Dromo's going to be late on the brakes, but Menning's going to be first there. Menning still holding the inside. Dromo now coming back at it, holding that very nicely. Menning still on the outside, gets the power down faster, has to take the long way around here. Dromo will have the preferred line, does have that position for the time being, it looks like, but it's not fully cleared, and it now is, and this now just invites Pierce into the battle.
And that's what I meant when I predicted earlier that we'd get a lot of wheel-to-wheel action. There's a lot of corners where you can get straight on past somebody. Ooh, it's a big twitch back there.
No, that wasn't a twitch. That was Pierce's nose going into Menning's rear end.
Ah, that's not good either.
Not good at all.
But nice to see Pierce back himself off there. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to maintain that wheel-to-wheel action. Everything just kind of flows into each other.
It's a very wide track too. I'm pretty sure you can fit about 3 wide. Technically, you can fit 3 wide around this track at all times. It's not the preferred line. You'll lose a lot of time, but it's doable.
Yeah, unlike some of these British tracks that we've been doing, where you can hardly fit 1 car, it seems like sometimes. But I've been watching here in the back this battle kind of shape up and fall apart just a little bit between Quig, Stasov, and Marquez. Marquez has closed that 3-second gap between him and Stasov very rapidly, and is now trying to hawk him down. Stasov is also trying to pass Quig at the same time, so I think we're going to see an interesting battle here.
Yeah, we'll pick that up in the picture-in-picture for the time being. Menning pitted as we were having that conversation, comes out in P17 right on the back of Kostovich.
Very close. I think the exit speed is kind of what called him out a little bit because he was in front of Mr. Sir for half a second, and then Mr. Sir blasted away, obviously. But Menning right there. This is a battle for position. Both of these drivers have pit, so it's not like one hasn't and one has. Menning going to look to try to do everything to catch up to Kostovich so he can jump Dromo in the pits right now.
Dazev was looking to make a move through Stowe. Couldn't make it happen. Took that outside line. Got beat out by Quig. Is going to be late on the braking here on the outside. Going to try that same move that he did before. Try to cut him off before the apex. Doesn't quite cut him off, but he is going to make him scrub a lot of speed. Not preferred line for Dazev there. Quig goes wide. Quig is going to take that position or keep his position. Dazev is going to have to file him behind with immediate pressure from Marquez. Only 0.2 seconds behind.
Yeah, Marquez looked like he wanted to do a little bit of you open the door, I'm going to file myself through as well, but neither of them got past.
Marquez getting real close to Dazev there.
Everyone
drivers
extremely close.
Tuck in.
Someone pokes their nose out there. I believe that's Marquez. He thought about it for a second. Will decide to tuck it back in. Quig doing a very good job at handling that Audi, though.
Indeed, as they make their way through Woodco onto the main straight here.
It's like Marquez is faster than Stasev. Stasev's going to move into a defensive position here. Marquez has the outside line through Cops. We'll hold all that speed. We'll go wide here. Stasev will end up not keeping that position. We'll end up giving it up. Marquez takes that position, going a bit wide, but is now his.
Well, you gotta take what you can get. And if you go wide and someone else messes up, well,
your position. This is currently our closest battle on track. Marquez looking to hunt down Quig now. Again, these are all battles for positions. Everyone has pit in this little group.
Picture in picture, Sam Reck getting up on the back of Eric Neville now, down to 5/10.
I'm just keeping an eye on that gap from Chilcutt to Lehman right now. It's still in the 8/10 range. It's been bouncing back from 8 to 9/10 for the most part. Marquez all over the back of Quig now, coming down into a very hard braking zone. Quig going to go defensive. Marquez going to take it all the way around the outside, carrying a lot of speed. Quig still there. Marquez braking very heavily for the next turn. Has that preferred line. Quig will just slot right back in line. Marquez, outstanding move. Quig now might end up vulnerable here to Stasev.
so I think we got the answer to, I believe it was O'Brien leaving.
Ooh, Stasev on the inside, and Stasev makes contact with Quig. Spins himself. Quig will keep on going, but Stasev will end up losing that position to Stan and Stallworth.
Impressive to see Quig hold the car in that kind of an incident. I mean, it's a lot of moments we've seen this season and seasons past where a small amount of contact makes a car go flying, but I guess these small improvements really are making the physics better.
I expect that a hit like that, I expect the Audi to go flying and like a Merc to absolutely eat it and just keep going. Never expected the Audi to kind of do that, but good on him for keeping it together. And Chilcutt is trying to keep it together in the dirty air of Lehman right now. 6/10 is probably the closest we've been here in a bit.
Well, I think we got the answer to, I believe it was O'Brien leaving the race in Twitch chat. They're saying, I love my game crashing P4 into oblivion. So I think there's our answer.
That would explain the sudden yellow and then, you know, unfortunate series of events. I mean, you could technically come back in, finish P26, get some points, but it's very, very disheartening when that happens to you. Especially when you're in the top 3. Fazli Majid will come in for his pit stop. Chilcutt will take to the escape road at the end of Maggots and Beckett's. Won't lose a ton of time. In fact, I don't think he lost any time at all. Maybe just a tenth. We'll just follow right in behind Lehman. Pierce is closing the gap to Dromo relatively quickly, might I add. Currently 4 tenths. Could look up the inside here for a move, but we'll decide to stick right in line, as that would be a very hefty dive if we decide to go for it. We're not getting the best of exits there. Pierce is actually closing that gap ever so slightly. We're getting a little wiggly there on the exit. Could Pierce take advantage of it? Not really. We'll just have to stay right back in line. A new Porsche engine kind of coming in handy here, but Pierce actually might look up on the inside of an unsuspecting Dromo. Dromo holds her along the outside, is able to get the power down before Pierce, so will hold that position, but Pierce is now coming right back at him down on the straight in the slipstream of that Porsche, coming very fast. Ferrari on Porsche action. Will Pierce dive to the inside? Doesn't look like it. Will just stay in line for the time being. But Pierce is within range.
We have some very spicy action here in the picture-in-picture. A battle between Fazli Majid, Griffith, and Nixon. Griffith and Nixon have been going at it pretty good here as Griffith is making his way up, trying to make a move on Fazli, falling back, and just the constant seesaw of pressure between these two drivers.
Yeah, and it looks like Nixon's actually about to get a run on Griffith right now. He's now side by side going down the straightaway here. It's going to come down to the braking zone as to who's going to have the better chance at holding this position coming onto the main straightaway. Like poetry in motion. Look at that. They're dead even.
Swimming over here, man.
Nixon catching a bit of gravel. We'll slow him down a bit, but Griffith looks to be having that speed in that inside line. Nixon right back at him, though. Down in the cops, Griffith has a preferred line. Nixon doesn't look to be fighting that at all, so we'll just slide right back in line.
Yeah, but he's got that Aston Martin drive, and once again going to be right back on Griffith's bumper. This is the same way we started the previous lap with these two.
And you know what? All this battling, though, has allowed Fazli to pull a 1.9 second gap.
That
wow.
is true. You're correct on that.
Nixon, I think, pushing a little bit too hard there through Sector 1. Backed himself off. But I'm sure that's not the last time that battle is going to pop off.
Not at all. Most of our gaps are kind of coming into play here. Neville closing the gap on Rust right now, and Rec kind of following right behind, closing the gap on Neville. So we are about to have a little small train. Brumba in the back looking to catch it as well. Matt Lehman currently a 2nd and a 10th out in front of Chilcutt.
Yeah, it was invalid on that previous lap, but 3/10 faster than Chilcutt, so I'm going to assume that's a cut for the penalty books there. Something that can sneak up on you on a track like this.
Neville will go into the pits to escape this battle. Pierce is also into the pits. Nixon is closing yet again on Griffith down the back stretch. Not able to hold it cleanly there through the corner. Wound up falling off again. Stallworth right behind them, all over the back of Sand right now. Quigg is trying to defend against Sand. Stallworth trying to fight Sand. Pierce looks to come out right in front of Menning. That's not what Menning wants to see. As I cut away for 1 second and Neville gets overtaken by Nixon. I believe Neville also just hit. I believe he did, yes. And Stallworth has a yellow and he's spinning. A little replay. Quigg and Sand going side by side. Stallworth just looking for any scraps. Gets a little unsettled. Too much grass on the exit. We'll just send him.
Big bounce there.
And that was the end of Stallworth's race right there. Bowed out after that.
Unfortunate sequence of events as Wreck is trying to go up on the inside of Rust and end up making contact. Rust will spin. Paremba comes through, takes that position from Wreck. +2 for Parenda, -2 for Rust.
Yeah, our very own through goes Hamilton right there.
We have Quigg and Sand in a very tight battle here. Only a 10th separating the two.
Be in your
as
picture.
they go after Abby.
Picture window as Marquez is trying to get past Neville right now, all over the back of him, as Neville is within 9/10 of Nixon. So this battle has kind of start popping off right now. Pierce is still 3/10 behind Menning. We'll look to that battle very shortly as Marquez not going to go for the move here on Neville just yet. We'll hold it there, but is still closing that gap just ahead. Pierce trying to get the slipstream on Menning here down to Cops. Not a very good place to overtake, especially if you're behind, but it is able to be done. Pierce will just tuck in line, though.
There's a few battles starting to pop into existence now. Quigg and Sand, Marquez, Neville, Nixon, Griffith, Pierce, Menning. Wreck Paremba still on the verge, just underneath a second.
Trying to catch them all.
I wonder how many drivers are trying to kick their pace up while they're in the free air to catch everybody, but also chewing through their tires, as Silverstone will eat your rubber if you're not careful.
It is probably a very high number of people. As Marquez not close enough to go for that move just yet. We'll have to sit right back. Nixon just ahead of them. Won't be close enough to go for a dive on Griffith, but is all over the bumper of him. Have a battle within a battle here. Nixon's still coming within. Closing that gap ever so slightly. Not going to be able to make a move here, but will be able to make a move into next corner if he holds that gap. Griffiths gets a little bit in the grass. Might open the door for Nixon here. Griffiths is along the inside. Very defensive move. Nixon's going to try for a switchback here. Does find the grip to get on the power. Griffiths now holds the inside on the defensive move again. Nixon trying to find another switchback. Will instead slot right back in line. And we have cars spinning in the picture-in-picture.
Stazov and Quigg.
Yeah.
Stazov unfortunately just kind of knocks into Quigg there as he was spinning out.
As Nixon's now going to go down on the inside of Griffith here. Will be able to hold it. The speed. Griffith is getting a little bit of sideways, unsettled. Nixon will take that position. Neville might be looking here at Griffith now after that slide from him. Ooh.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of getting loose, and Stasov unfortunately being at the wrong place at the wrong time, showing up to a sideways Audi, not having anywhere to go.
Not where you want to be. Marquez very close to Neville right now. This train is starting to kick off. Marquez literally a 10th on the back of Neville coming in the Maggots and Beckett's here. Neville just trying to hang on the Griffith slipstream right now. Carry him through. Marquez looks to have a cleaner line than Neville right now as Neville's picking up some of the dirt and grass. It's all about who can get the better exit here. Marquez looks to be closing that gap, but I don't think he's closing it fast enough. We'll end up just slotting in line.
Pierce now looking to make a move on Menning. He's getting right up on his rear bumper, letting him know either I'm going home in your trunk or I'm going home in front of you.
Marquez is looking down the inside of Neville, being later on the brakes. Marquez will have that position. Neville will give it away. No, not really a hard defense from Neville there, but Marquez making it very clean.
Yeah, a very small error with a very large outcome.
Plague is in the pits after that incident. Train still rambles on. Marquez now closing that gap to Griffith very fast. Griffith's going to get a pretty bad exit here, bound onto the back straight. Should allow Marquez to close this gap even more. He is inching towards them. Not enough to make a move into this corner, but enough to just kind of stick there and wait. Is getting very aggressive with the steering wheel. And down the old pit straight. Will Marquez size up and move down? The cops will decide against it. Griffith looks to be taking a little bit more curb than he wanted to bite for there. Marquez now physically pushing Griffith practically through Maggots and Beckett's. Marquez will back off for now, but Griffith can get a good enough exit to fend off against Marquez. Looks like he can. Battle's heating up a little bit everywhere right now. Pierce Menning in your picture-in-picture. We have this train of Griffith, Marquez, and Neville on your main screen. Everyone else just waiting for everyone to take their pitch. Chilcutt is still within that second gap of Lehman, but was not able to get any closer to him.
Chilcutt is looking just slightly faster per lap. Last lap being a 59.48. Lehman being a 59.55. So he may be chipping away at that a little bit. Does make a mistake on this lap though. Sending him back just a touch. It's just this seesaw between him. Going 2/10 up, 2/10 down.
Could come into the dirty air there and then end up feeling it a bit.
Could be just trying to pace himself out, waiting for the last bit of the race. 25 minutes left to go here at Silverstone.
I feel like it's gone pretty fast.
I feel like it has, yeah. Hey, good racing makes the time fly by, right?
It really does. This good racing is about to heat up here. Coming down to tops, Marquez is getting a better exit than Griffith here, but I don't think he'll make a move unless he's very bold with it. Pierce looks to be side by side with Menning through Maggots and Beckett's. That will be Pierce's position, but look for Menning to come back there. Griffith has a drive-through now.
What an overtake to make there. Very bold place of the racetrack to sling your car past, but well held. And like you said, look for that return move to come soon.
Griffith takes to the escape road and will allow Marquez to go straight through. Griffith housing that drive-through now, so we'll end up losing a ton of positions there.
Yeah, it sucks. He's been involved in this battle all night.
So what happens when you get a car in your mirror constantly? Might push a little bit, might push the track boundaries one too many times. Yeah, drive-through.
Happens to the best of us.
Why it happens in D1. Other battles seem to have fizzled out for the most part. Neville trying to keep up with Griffith here for the time being. Menning looks to be falling off the pace a bit from Pierce.
Yeah, just does not seem to be holding on to the back of that Ferrari right now. Even though the Lamborghinis have seemingly been one of the stronger cars this season.
It is interesting how one track can kind of spell the end of your car compared to every single other track. But I was very hopeful for the Lambos tonight. I was honestly hopeful for all cars. I feel like Silverstone gives everyone a decent, even playing ground as Griffith will come into the pit for his drive-through.
don't count the Lambo out just yet. Mercer sitting in third place right now. Only 2.8 second gap between him and Chilcutt. Not entirely out of the realm of possibility to make something happen. 23 minutes left. Quite a bit of time for shenanigans.
Whole battle's kind of fizzled out for the time being. And if we were to finish in this order right now, Lehman would be your new... Or is it new? Or is he still... Either way, he will be leading the championship. And then Mercer falling close behind him. Doing a great job in that McLaren Evo 2. And his counterpart, Nate Speck, who's only about 7 seconds behind him in the silver division. Very close as well.
Yeah, Bray is not here as is pointed out in the chat.
Yeah, we have quite a few missing faces here.
Yep.
So that is just end of season attrition that happens, you know. You move.
We have a response in Twitch saying that he's out of town this week, but he'll be back for more.
That's poor from him, not picking up his sim rig and taking it with him. Absolutely insane.
You know, Cody Platt, okay, another SRA driver, did that. Took his entire sim rig into a hotel room, clamped his wheel to the nightstand at the hotel, and raced. That's dedication right there, guys. You guys need to get on his level.
Can only imagine doing that in a hotel room.
They would probably call the management after I curse some people out on track.
I saw the internet data. You should spike that one night.
I think there's a domestic going on in room 212.
Someone screaming about spinning and T-boning. I don't know what they're doing.
Whoa.
But I know...
Family-friendly stream.
What? Oh, there's like spinning cars, getting T-boned in the cars.
You're
right. It happens here on track. Like what's happening here on track right now, Nixon is closing the gap pretty quickly, might add, to Fazli Majid. And following in his wake is Marquez, who has been on an absolute tear right now, working his way up through the field. Nixon was struggling with some back-end issues early on. Seems to have gotten him a little bit fixed. Not really seeing that back-end come out of his end anytime soon, as Nixon very, very close in the back of Majid. Will end up actually clipping that sausage curb. Is going to ruin his exit there. So any kind of move he was setting up down to the next turn has likely fizzled out, as Paremba has entered the pits.
And the gap between the leaders has shortened to half a second.
It is going to get a little spicy here, I believe, where that or Chilcutt will pit and try to find some clean air here shortly. We'll keep an eye on that. Nixon keeps an eye on the car ahead of him, trying to catch that gap. Dan Cran is also into the pits. Now spotted that. Nixon not going to make the move there. We'll end up just staying behind Majid for now. Could catch a slipstream down into the long right-hander, possibly make a move. You can take that braking zone very deep if you want to, down into the braking zone. Nixon's actually going to try for along the outside right now. Not going to do it, so we'll just slot back in line. Actually takes a lot of grass there. Ends up going wide. Opens the door for Marquez here. Looking down on the inside of this corner. Deciding against it. We'll just take the braking zone as is. Marquez catching a little bit of grass as well in the braking zone, so we'll back out of that move.
Something I'm noticing up at the front here
Chilcutt to the
was
pits.
Chilcutt moving up, just chipping away at Lehman there into the pits, though. See where he winds up.
I think he wants to win the pit strategy here, try to get some clean air, but there is a pack of cars heading towards the straight right now.
Hopefully he's got someone in his ear telling him that's okay.
I mean, if he leaves now, he's a lot of clear air, but that stop looks to be a little bit longer than normal.
Looking okay.
Quig looked to come out in front of him. I believe that is a blue flag for him.
Actually, it was kind of a poor pit. Time stopped was 34 seconds, so took an extra second or 2 seconds in the pits.
A little extra fuel. Wilson, Russ trade positions there. Nixon still all over the back of Majid right now. Have some battles starting to go up. Chilcutt has pit and dropped the only P6 right now. So as soon as Quig lets him by, he should have clear air, but for the time being, Quig is on him, and Rec is closing that gap ever so slightly. You know who's behind Rec? Wilson. So it could all get a little spicy here at the end. Matt Lehman doesn't look to be coming in contact with any blue flags himself, as Nixon very late into the braking zone compared to Majid. Not going to be able to make the move as Majid slams the door shut. Pierce also very close to Kostovich in your picture-in-picture window. Might size up a move down on the inside here. We'll hold that spy. Who can get on the power earlier? Both of them pretty much at the same time. Kostovich will let him go through. That's Pierce's position all day.
Great drive up the inside in the second half of that.
And on your main screen, Marquez will actually overtake Nixon here, and Marquez will now have his chance at Majid. As Rec goes into the pits for his pit stop. Time is winding down. There's 13 minutes left, so theoretically you have about 6 more laps you can do before you have to pit. I'm sure Lehman has his eyes pasted to that time right now and seeing where Alex Chilcutt is on track. Right now he's only 36 seconds behind him. So Chilcutt could possibly jump him here if he sets fast enough times.
Well, here's the thing. He's really got to set the fast times. He spent 2 seconds longer in pits than average. And it may not sound like a lot, but they were 0.6 of a second apart before. So having him 2.5 seconds down, that would be pretty detrimental towards trying to get a P1 in this race for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 14 minutes to make up that lost time. It may happen. He is going to be catching up to, it looks like Kojeromo here first. But 17 second gap for that.
These are fights on track, so we will have to fight through him. Dromo does not have to let him through, but so if he never does catch it, but I believe Dromo will end up pitting before then.
He's going to have Brooker Quig, actually. That's what I was saying. It was Brooker Quig, 2.2 seconds ahead. Is a blue flag.
Should get out of the way if we can close that second gap, but for now, Quig stays. Always find it very hard to overtake a blue flag of an Audi because they are extremely fast in the straights. So them letting you by is them essentially losing all of their lap time. And now Nixon is resizing up Marquez. Rust into the pits. Marquez throwing on the block to Nixon. Nixon having to hold off for a little bit. Stay back in line. Marquez is actually bleeding time to Majid right now. Matt Lehman.
Twitch,
Sorry, go ahead.
Twitch chat was saying that Matt may mess up his pit stop, but that probably won't happen. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Matt is he's a robot.
Ooh, stop go 30 for Rust.
If Choka isn't careful, he may wind up with the same fate. Taking a couple track liberties here.
He hasn't validated a lot of these laps, but doesn't seem to be giving him track warnings, at least every single invalidation. That gap is still held at 36 seconds for the time being. Might just be trying to push as hard as he can. But Matt Lehman has so much open track in front of him. We've kind of entered a training phase here for Majid, Marquez, and Nixon. Everyone just kind of staying in line. No one really popping out just yet. Everyone getting each other's slipstreams. Extremely surprised Marquez has not gone for a move here on Majid. Majid actually going to take a very defensive line that time. Marquez swinging her out wide, trying to open up the corner a bit more, see if that pays off on the exit. Doesn't look to do dividends. But it still will get the slipstream and close that gap even more. Might actually look for a move. He couldn't quite hold it there. Seems to be struggling on that penultimate corner right now. Another train is kind of starting to bust open here. A train of Wreck, Cran, Sand, and Rust. Well, Rust will have to serve as stop go 30, but I believe that is in your picture-in-picture window.
It is, yeah. Rust was picking up on the back of Sand, but he's opted to go in and get rid of that stop go now.
Because still not able to close this gap to Majid. Does get the slipstream down the straight, but nothing will ever come from it. It seems like Nixon not going to go for the move on Marquez just yet. Marquez still trying to find any kind of space to put his car where Majid isn't. Majid's just done a great job at being a conductor. Tense is the gap on this straight. Can Marquez hold it together? He can go for a move. He keeps this gap here into the next corner. There are a couple deep braking zones. Majid will go defensive. Marquez will swing it around the outside here. We'll try to go for a deep break in the next turn. Does hold it. There's a little bit of door bashing between the two cars. Marquez closes the door on Majid. Majid has to concede. That is Marquez's position. But now look for Majid to come back on Marquez with the better exit in the slipstream. Marquez trying to weave around the track, break that toe. Marquez will keep the position. Majid falls back, possibly into the hands of Nixon. It's up to Nixon to try to get in front of Majid. This was his original challenge till Marquez passed him. Little battles happening picture in picture as Wreck and Dan Cran in it. Neville just behind this battle is catching up the Poremba, but nothing close yet. So we have just over 6 minutes left in the pit window. We have about 3 more laps until you are having to pit. That is a absolute definite you need to pit right now. Come in. Just about 8.5 minutes left in the race.
I've been watching Alex Chokat's times, and out of the pits wasn't looking so hot. He may have lost a second or two more trying to get back up to speed, but he's finally gotten back up to a 159.7, a little bit slower than Matt is doing, actually 2/10 slower than what Matt is doing right now. So, but he needs to be watching for Mercer as well, who was in third behind him. He may wind up even losing second place.
He's holding that 36-second gap nicely to his 36 seconds, so not at least not losing out a ton for now. So it's really gonna be pressure on for Lehman if he can hook up the pit stop nice. Five minutes left in the pit window. We will see that here shortly. Majid now under attack from Nixon here. Marquez is pretty much going off into the distance from this battle. Majid was holding on to that toe, does not have the toe anymore. Nixon closing that gap ever so slightly, getting closer and closer and closer. Will not go for a dive here in Copse, will instead opt to stay right behind him, go through Maggots and Beckett's just like this. Nixon actually not having the cleanest Maggots and Beckett's there. Will actually end up dropping back a few tens, but who can get a better exit? That is all that matters here. And it looks like Nixon got a very good exit, closing the gap here to Majid. If he can close it close enough, he can go for a dive, pokes up on the inside into the corner, will opt against the dive down in. Majid holding that position for the time being. Nixon still right there on the back of him, just about 3/10 is the gap. We'll decide against a move on Majid this lap. Try again in another corner. I have just now realized that we have hit peak track temperature, 33 degrees Celsius. You do not have your tires set up for this. You are eating away at your grip right now. That could be the case for a few of these drivers out here. Nixon still trying to close that gap.
Yeah, I know my tires were slightly off for the practice race on Monday, and my rears were screaming by the time I got towards the end of the fuel load.
Yeah, this new update 1.9 really makes it so much more difficult to get that tire pressure right. Punishes sliding a lot more as far as tire temperatures and PSI. You can get out of that range super easy if you're not careful.
Nixon's car just sliding around cops. Nothing else really happening on track just yet.
Well, we're going to see the front runners battle shape up as these guys go into pits here very soon. 4 minutes and 45 seconds left of the race. Should only be about 2 minutes left until these folks get a pit.
I believe the Lears will come in this lap because they will not make it another lap around if they do. So we'll see Lehman, should see Lehman come into the pits here, along with Mercer, Specht, and Nordstrom, and Dromo. If not, they are on another level.
And Lehman and Mercer both go into the pits.
So we'll see how long this stop is. The end of the pit lane. Chilcutt was 36 seconds away from Lehman. That looked like a pretty clean, quick stop from Lehman. Chilcutt's going to come down onto the main straight here. I think Lehman will have him on the exit.
Yeah, time in pits total was 32 seconds, so that was a very fast and clean pit stop.
Chilcutt is here. He will carry more speed through Maggots and Beckett's, but it's actually Mercer who jumps Chilcutt. So it's now Mercer P2. Chilcutt is now threatened with P3. Again, Wilson is going to be 2/10 right behind Nate Specht. It's all about to pop off here. Wilson's going to have to end up closing this gap to Nate Speck as the McLaren Speck trying to break that toe the safest way possible, is holding his left side. So we'll take that racing line through. As Majid and Nixon finally go side by side and they make contact, bashing doors. Majid will get out of it, drive away, take to the escape road, but will suffer a drive-through penalty for that.
Ouch.
Overall, Nixon's position. He's going to have to serve that right now.
Homer Wilson and Nate Speck getting pretty close here. 5/10 between the two, battling for 4th place.
There they are on your main screen. Wilson will be hunting down Nate Speck as fast as he possibly can, as we will be going on the final lap as soon as Lehman crosses the line next. So not able to get enough drag. Opting against going in Nate Speck's toe right there. Might just be happy with where he's at for the time being. But if he wants to get past Speck, it's now or never. The leader will start the final lap. Majid will have to serve that drive-through or suffer. I believe it's about a 130-second time penalty added on after the race. Wilson does not look to be closing the gap enough. So unless we have a big mishap, it currently looks like Lehman, Mercer, Chilcutt, Speck, and Wilson will be your top 3. Wilson actually falling out of the second gap through Maggots and Beckett's.
Our silver drivers is looking like right now Nate Speck, Basley Majid, and Poremba.
You got it. And Nate Speck very high up here in the mix of gold drivers here. So, very good day for him in the silver championship. Very good day for Matt Lehman to be able to hold P1 in the championship for the overall Division 1 League and SRA champion. Final lap, no one really going for any moves. It seems everyone's just happy to finish this race where they are for the time being. Lehman will lap Rust, saving Rust from going around another lap.
Tactical on Rust's part. He said, let this be over.
30 laps we have sat through here at Silverstone today. Lehman has led every single one of them in an outstanding fashion. He will come across the line to take P1 and the Silverstone Championship. The Silverstone race win. Falling right behind him, Mercer, Chilcutt, Nate Speck doing a very good outing for the Silver Championship. Wilson will hold his position P5. Nordstrom will come back behind. Marquez and Menning are going side by side here all the way along the outside. Marquez is trying to do a switchback here on Menning. Not able to lay down enough grip. Menning looks to have this position secured. It will be Menning for P11, Marquez P12. Good drive from those two. Everyone else finally in line. Majid, Nixon, Poremba. Neville will be next in line to finish Rec. And then Dan Cran.
Yep. So for interviews, we're going to need Lehman, Mercer, Chilcutt, Speck, Majid, and Poremba.
That's a lot of interviews. Hold on.
Well, what you only get about half of them normally, so.
As Majid,
but well,
Majid opted to finish the race with the drive-through penalty and will suffer a 30-second time penalty.
Ooh, actually, we'll probably take him out of the top 3. I believe so.
Yeah,
maybe.
he will fall behind Poremba in the Silver Championship. But great race from all of the drivers. Lehman coming home. Sure, Damiani's already on setting up interviews for them. Lehman coming tank in the win and P1 in the championship for Division 1. Mercer doing P2, able to hold it together. I believe they... I will double check my work, because I've been known to be wrong sometimes.
What?
So at the start of this race, Jeremy Mercer led Matt Lehman by 12 points. Oh, wait, I think Mercer will still be in front, no?
Yeah, Mercer will still be in front.
By 2 points.
Yeah.
Lehman, it was Chilcutt that got fastest lap. Yep. Yep, so Mercer will lead going into the final week of the SRA season. We're going to have a hotly contested battle between Lehman and Mercer on track. Damiani, do we have anyone yet? I don't see anyone.
Nope.
Upsetting.
Yeah, no one has really filed into the D1 race chat after action reporting.
So we will just hold for 1 second.
Well, I could take this opportunity
Go ahead.
to say a huge thank you to SRA sponsors and title sponsors. I'm not going to go through the huge spiel again, but a big thank you to you folks who subscribe to us and our sponsors, as well as everyone who subscribes to us on Twitch and YouTube. It's very helpful. And we love being here and doing these streams for you guys and putting on a good show, whether it be the racing side or the streaming side. Your contribution and support always helps.
You're the
and I
reason
will
why we're
say a shout out to all of our affiliates, Track Racer, Ontario, and Go Setups. If you are interested in any of those, make sure to go into our Discord and check out how you can benefit from our affiliation with those folks, and to Documize and Retro Saga for your support as well. And thank you guys for watching. Well,
I think we have a few people lined up. Damiani, do we?
there we go.
We have our podium sitters, starting with Mr. Matt Lehman.
Matt Lehman, congratulations winning Silverstone. How'd you do it? How you feel?
Yeah, feeling a little bit sweaty, but all in all, it's a pretty good race. Through most of it though, I had Alex Choka behind me, just keeping me honest all the way. He never let me go within like a second of him. So, kept me on my toes, made sure I had to hit all my breaking points and stuff. But all in all, pretty uneventful. Nailed my pit stop, was able to stay ahead of Mercer, which is good for the championship, and all in all, pretty clean race.
Yeah, we were watching very closely to Mercer and Alex Chilcutt's pit stops. Alex, unfortunately, spent 8 seconds in the air and had a 34-second overall pit stop, whereas you had a 32-second pit stop. So 2 seconds there, and had a hard time gaining his feet after the pit stop, and lost a couple seconds there. So ultimately ended up getting eclipsed by Mercer. So very close for him. But we're watching that very closely. And if you had made any mistake on that pit stop, it would have been very close between you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I was focusing extra hard, on the entry, making sure I nailed the breaking point for pit road. So, was able to do that. Super clean pit stop. Still, I think Mercer gained about a second on me during the pit stop cycle. So, could have been a little bit better on my side, but still had enough of a gap. So, we were able to make it home.
Well, with Mercer finishing P2, that he's still ahead of you in the overall driver standings, but it's only by 2 points now. So that could mean anything here going down to Valencia, the last race. Anything kind of change in your head differently going into the final race of the season?
No, not really. Obviously gonna aim for the win as I do every race. But I'm definitely looking forward to Valencia. Like ever since they announced that the track would be added, like Ricardo Tome was like one of my favorite tracks ever. So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Oh, so he's going to have to watch out then. He's going to have to practice a little extra to keep up with your enthusiasm next week. And we're going to be very excited to see that. And yeah, this championship is shaping up to be very spicy. So thank you for putting on a good show for us this season. And thank you for joining us up here in the booth. Matt, do you have any final words?
Not really. To the guys tomorrow, I guess, get a good, clean lap in beginning of the stint so that you don't get no track cuts. Yeah, turn one's a killer.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that solid advice, Matt. And we hope to see you up here next week.
Yeah, cheers. Have a good night, guys.
You as well.
Matt Lehman.
We're going to bring up Mercer.
Jeremy Mercer, who doesn't get the win today, but does get P2. We'll hold P1 in the driver's standings, only by 2 points. How are you feeling on your P2 finish tonight, Jeremy?
That's the best result I could hope for, honestly. I knew going in I didn't have the pace for Matt, and I was just hoping I could be as close to him as I could be.
Well,
it wound up really well for you. Only 4 seconds behind him after the pit stops. We were watching your guys' pit times very closely, and that was really the deciding factor between you, Matt, and Alex. Unfortunately, Alex had a bit of a bum pit stop, wound up being a couple seconds behind. You jumped him from that, and even jumped about a second onto Matt. Very clean pit stop from you there.
Yeah, I did practice it, and it was a good entry. So got slowed up right at the line.
Yeah, this was the definite case of look how much the pit stops matter during a race. When you're racing on track and you're looking for tenths, you should be thinking the same way about the pit stop. But you kept it really clean, really consistent out there. Fantastic racing. How are you feeling trying to sitting behind that train?
Well, it was kind of being careful for the opening bits, and then it wasn't too long before Alex kind of was faster than me for the first few laps. So I ended up with open space in front of me pretty quickly. And then from that point, it was just be consistent, make sure nobody who pits early is able to jump me, and hopefully challenge Alex, who I was able to jump in the pits. So it worked out.
And so we had noted with Matt that there's only a 2-point gap in the championship. Now you're still holding that lead over Matt, but how is your strategy going to change going into next week?
I guess there's not really much more I can do other than try to be as fast as I can in qualifying, and be consistent in the race, because essentially I need to finish ahead of him unless we both have a bad finish, because I believe his drop round is a lot worse than mine. So if we both have a bad finish, then I'm good.
Well, maybe that's a little bit of spin action. We won't tell anyone. No, I'm kidding.
No,
but,
I'm not gonna wreck him.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like I knew he was going to be fast here, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be fast in Valencia too. And so I kind of feel like the ball is in his court, but he has to really execute on it, and that's not the easiest thing. So.
Very true. Yeah. So just hold your line and wait for him to make the move. So, do you have any advice for the folks that are going to be taking this tomorrow?
I would recommend practice your pit and do it either at the beginning or at the end, because in the practice race, I noticed the heat cycling made me slower for a bit. So do it right at the beginning before your tires are hot, or do it right at the end so it doesn't affect you as much.
Okay, very solid advice. Thank you, Jeremy, and we hope to see you up here next week. In fact, we probably will for an interview on the championship and the season as a whole. But yeah, fantastic racing tonight, and we wish you luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to bring up Alex Chilcutt. Alex, welcome to the booth. Sorry to cut off your conversation there with Matt, but very awesome race from you, hanging out in second for most of the time, and giving Matt a good run for his money, keeping it between, you know, 0.8 seconds to 1 second gap, making sure that he's honest and staying on his toes the entire time. But yeah, so what happened during that pit stop where it all kind of fell apart there?
Yeah, I just missed my box. I overshot by just a
Ooh.
little bit.
Yeah, yeah. We'd noticed that was 8 seconds time in the air, whereas everyone else was doing 34 seconds pit time total over 32. And also you had a bit of trouble getting back on your feet after the pit stop. But such a close race between the top three there that this was able to make such a drastic difference. You know, Jeremy was able to get ahead of not get ahead of, but get another second on Matt through his pit cycle as well, even though Matt had a great pit. So something that's very important to nail. But for the whole rest of the race, I mean, how are you feeling out there?
It's fantastic, and this is my first podium in D1, so I'm very excited about that. I didn't expect to do very well this week. I was doing like 58s yesterday, and today I figured something out with the setup. Basically ran no rake, so it was very interesting, and it actually worked. So I'm very, very, very happy with that. Very happy with the race overall, even though I didn't get the P2.
That's proprietary. That's proprietary setup knowledge there. Got to keep that secret for all the cool drivers, right?
Just a little something, something.
Yeah, but yeah, fantastic drive from you out there, and you know, it's safe to say that you're back from your trip and you're ready to go, rejuvenated for the end of the season. How are you feeling going into Valencia?
I've never driven there before at all. I was just talking to Matt. It's one of his favorite tracks. So I'm not expecting to win, and I definitely don't want to interfere with Matt and Mercer. They're like 1 point apart right now. So I just want to have a good solid race, hoping for a top 5 and watch some carnage for the championship.
Yeah, fair enough. You're gonna have a front row seat. I can guarantee you that. Yeah, and so thank you so much for joining us up here tonight, and fantastic racing. Do you have any final words before we send you off?
Ole Hartman is the GOAT. Champion Motorsports forever, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to get him out of here.
Oh my gosh. All right. So that concludes our interviews, unless we want to try to pull up a silver driver. I don't really see.
I think we're good, but I think
we're good. We are running the stream a little bit late, and we're rapidly losing viewers. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up, Taylor.
We can, because tomorrow we're back at Silverstone here.
Oh.
Hello?
What is happening?
Okay. My bad.
Okay.
All right. Back on Twitch will be Division 2 here at Silverstone. Again, Division 3 and 6 will be live streamed to the YouTube. So you can go over to YouTube, check out Sim Racing Alliance over there. And if you watched tonight, you thought, hey, that looks fun. I want to join. I want to get in on next season. Go over to simracingalliance.com. You can go there, join the Discord. We're all fun, and we like to have fun racing. You know, make each other better. Very clean racing over here. No open lobby kind of stuff. So come by simracingalliance.com. Josh, Damiani, any final words?
Not really. Just tomorrow should be equally as fun. Really looking forward to some more great battles here at Silverstone.
Paul, any last words for you?
I'm looking forward to very awkwardly battling Josh. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's race. You know, hopefully I got some good practice in. The D2 folks at Silverstone are pretty serious, so that would be one I would tune into. So it's going to be very interesting tomorrow. But yeah, another great day of racing here at SRA. Very excited to see how this D1 championship shapes up as well.
Indeed. Stay tuned to our next week. Back here on Twitch, we'll have the final round 8, the battle between Lehman and Mercer for the championship, Division 1 at Valencia. Signing off for Paul, Josh Damiani,
Myself, Taylor Molyneux. We'll see you all next week.
Adios.